Your seats, we can begin the meeting. President Harden, before you begin today's meeting, I would like to read a few announcements. Good morning. Welcome to the September 10th, 2025 ARC meeting. Before we start the meeting, I would like to share a few safety points and next meeting announcements. Please note that the primary exit and entrance to the boardroom is the door which you used to enter this morning. If you are leaving the room, please use this door. The restrooms are outside the boardrooms to your left. During the meeting, we ask that you keep all aisles and exits clear. If you need any assistance during the meeting, please waive the attention of one of our security officers. Please mark your calendars for the upcoming meetings. The next board meeting is scheduled for Thursday, September 25th, 2025 at 10:30 a.m. The next ARC meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, October 8th, 2025 at 10:30 a.m. The board and ARC meetings will be held at 42 West Madison Street, Garden Level Boardroom. For details on how to register to speak or observe at the meetings and to learn about the speaker lottery process, please visit the Chicago Board of Education website, cpsboe.org. If you have any questions about registration or public participation, please contact the board office for assistance. Thank you for joining us today. President Harden, we are now ready for you to begin the meeting.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Chicago Board of Education Agenda Review Committee meeting. Today is September 10th, 2025, and I'm President Sean B. Harden. On behalf of my fellow board members, thank you for joining us today. We're holding today's Agenda Review Committee meeting in the boardroom at the CPS Loop office, 42 West Madison Street, Garden Level. I'd like to note that the board members and senior leadership are physically present in the boardroom. Registered speakers may join us in person or virtually if they've opted to do so, and registered observers are joining us in person. The Agenda Review Committee meeting of Wednesday, September 10th, 2025 is hereby called to order. Board Secretary, please call the roll.
Thank you. Member Lozano?
Present.
Member Velez?
Present.
Member Boyle?
Here.
Member Wallace?
Present.
Member Custer?
Present.
Member Rosenfeld?
Present.
Member Rivas?
Present.
Member Rio Sierra?
Present.
Member Bannon?
Present.
Member Biggs?
Present.
Member Thodakura?
Present.
Member Blaze?
Present.
Member Zakor?
Here.
President Harden?
Here.
We have 14 members present. There is a quorum. I'd also like to recognize Elizabeth Barton, Acting General Counsel, and Charles Mayfield, Chief Operating Officer. Thank you.
The order of the meeting will be as follows: public participation, discussion of Agenda Review Committee meeting items 1 through 5, recess. We'll reconvene from recess. There'll be a discussion of Agenda Review Committee meeting items 6 through 10, closed session, reconvene from closed session, and then adjourn. We'll now proceed with today's public participation session. Thank you for joining to share your comments with the board in compliance with the Illinois Open Meetings Act. Public participation, sometimes referred to as public comment, is the portion of the board meeting or hearing that grants district stakeholders the opportunity to address the board with their concerns and comments. Note that public participation is the time for the board and CPS senior leadership to listen and hear from you rather than a time for dialogue with board members during or after your remarks. While we can't discuss personnel matters, public participation is a key component of transparent governance, and it provides us as board members, as well as senior leadership, an opportunity to listen to everyone who has signed to speak. This board takes equity of voice seriously. While we may not address your comments directly during public participation, CPS leadership is always present in our meetings and are able to address concerns as follow-ups after the meeting. As a district and as a board, we also have many other spaces for authentic dialogue. For example, each and every one of our board members hosts board office hours so that we can have a conversation. Please use our website, cpsboe.org, if you want to meet with a board member during office hours. We encourage you to take advantage of the opportunity to meet with board members outside of a board meeting. Thank you for your attention and consideration. And as a reminder, union representatives will be allotted 5 minutes to speak before public participation, and any elected officials will be allotted 5 minutes to speak after the conclusion of public participation. Board Secretary, please share the rules of public participation.
Thank you, President Harden. Members of the public who registered to speak were given the option to attend in person or via an electronic format. For those who prefer to attend via an electronic format, they were given information to access this meeting by dialing a number and using their phone. We did this so that speakers with limited or no access to the internet or who may have weak internet connection could still participate using their phones. Also, members of the public may submit written comments for Board of Education meetings via the written comments form on the board's website at cpsboe.org or mail to 42 West Madison Street, Garden Level. Written comments received between the day the public agenda was posted through 5 p.m. the day after the Board of Education meeting will be submitted to the board and published within 5 business days on our website at cpsboe.org. Speakers, please listen while I provide directions for public participation. I'll call your name and number when it is your turn to speak. For speakers joining us virtually, as a reminder, to unmute, please enter *6. Once you hear your name, please state your name for the record. I will then start the 2-minute timer. When there are 30 seconds remaining, I will inform you so that you can proceed to conclude your remarks to allow for the next speaker to begin. For anyone standing with the speaker, note that in order to comply with the city's fire code, please stand along the glass partitions on the marked spots to keep aisles clear. Thank you. President Harden, before we begin calling speakers from the speakers list, we do have union reps that wish to address the board. We'll begin with Jackson Potter, CTU Vice President, who is joining us virtually. Please enter *6 to unmute.
Good morning. I regret I cannot join you in person. Board of Education President Harden, CEO King, but would like to thank you for the very productive and necessary collaboration between us, the Principals Association, and other school staff as we prepare to protect and safeguard our students, their families, from these unprecedented and unconstitutional attacks being waged by the Trump regime. We know there is no dignity or rationale in kidnapping grandparents who are selling ice cream and flowers. They are not criminals. They are our community. And we will not fall prey to false claims about safety, security for our city. And we all know that it's a ploy to enable terror being waged against immigrant and Black families with Gestapo tactics. Our recent efforts to revise protocols, establish more robust supports for families and students in the face of these threats, to make sure we both have a culture of calm, but that we are also vigilant of reducing harm, is a testament to the solidarity needed in this moment. Our efforts will fortify the type of communication and response that will be required to keep parents and students with their school communities in close contact while we monitor the situation, evaluate, and make adaptations necessary to keep ourselves as safe as possible. It likely means that educators, administrators, and school staff together will have to more frequently be visible in and around schools through walking school buses, walk-ins, passing out Know Your Rights literature, like we have begun to do at the CTU, but must do it together en masse everywhere as needed at both begin and end times. The moment also speaks to the need of what we've discussed previously around a revenue campaign. We know the governor of New Mexico recently held a special session and passed a bill to provide childcare for all and wants to address the growing needs of many low-income communities of color in the face of federal cuts to those very communities. That has got to be number one for us in the push for the state legislature to respond in these perilous times to do its part. Additionally, we are seeing reductions in the special education staff that violate the state's Board of Education's oversight and the standards in which ISB has set to ensure legal delivery of required services to students with disabilities, whether that's in cluster programs or through SPED minutes being adhered to. If the state wants those services to be the standard, they must also provide the funding to meet them. And also the district cannot claim a balanced budget and not meet those standards. So if the budget doesn't allow for it, then we are in violation of the law, it is incumbent on this board to demand that Illinois step in to the gap and immediately help address these issues. We do think there is also a problem with English language learner staff being cut from dual language programs. And additionally, the state cannot claim to care about these things and not pay their fair share. We hope we will get a lobby day on the books with you all for fall session. We hope we can get a mass call. We are doing one with the Principals Association to get the word out about Know Your Rights. That should be made available to all students and families as well. So everyone is working from the same information, can coordinate and improve and increase robust communication across school communities. We know that this is the way in which to best protect most vulnerable students and their families, and we hope to continue these discussions and collaborate on these efforts to adapt school protocols and address these serious threats. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The next union rep is Caroline Rutherford, CTU Vice Chair at Charter Division, who is here in person.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Caroline Rutherford, and I'm the Vice Chair of CTU's Charter Division and a visual arts teacher at Acero Marquez. I would like to thank you all for your cooperation and collaboration in these last couple of weeks as we are all navigating the attacks on our beloved city, our students, our communities, from the president of our own nation. We have seen important examples of our unions coming together with district leaders and charter operators to protect our students and families from these threats. I met with the management of my school and network, Acero, yesterday to discuss collaboration between CTU and Acero to protect our students and families. Acero informed us that there are 2 emails that have been sent to the charter operators from CPS with district guidelines and links to materials that have been developed. Thank you for providing those to the charter operators. However, many are still wondering if more additional support will be provided, such as training opportunities for staff and parents, guidance on whether to call a lockdown or not if there is a threat outside the building, remote learning options for families that are scared to bring their children to school, and conversations and information sharing across charter networks with CPS and labor. We are all in this together, and we need to support each other to protect our city. We need your support to ensure that all charter schools are receiving the necessary protections for their students in this moment. We ask that you call for a collaborative meeting with charter operators, CPS, and labor, as we are partners in this fight against fascism, occupation, and threats to our students' safety. Next, I would like to address the historic resolution this board passed in the spring that addresses various improvements needed in our charter renewal contracts. With that resolution, you all called for a policy that addresses what happens when a charter school or campus closes. Has that policy been created? Ensuring that all rubrics are available to board members. Have you seen those rubrics? Reports to board members regularly on the results of progress monitoring and efforts to make improvements. Have you seen those reports? As well as neutrality language regarding the unionization of any of its employees. Board members, have you been provided the charter agreements from the 19 charters that were renewed in May? Do you know if the language of your resolution was included in these agreements? The resolution you passed means nothing to our charter schools and students and educators if you do not ensure that CPS officials make them more than just words on paper, but actual district policies to provide charter school accountability and improvements that our schools, staff, and students deserve. And finally, this board adopted a resolution in February that called for the 5 Acero schools to be transitioned to district-run schools starting in the 26-27 school year. And within that resolution, a plan to be developed to maximize retention of teachers, staff, and students at these schools. We have been meeting with CPS to reach an MOU to ensure that the resolution is carried out, and this is what we know from those meetings. Number one, CPS is refusing to provide any form of job guarantees to existing teachers and staff at the 5 schools to be reabsorbed. We also know that the location of Santiago and Cisneros campuses for next year are in question, as the Santiago building has been put up for sale by the Archdiocese, and the Cisneros building is in such disrepair, its continued viability is in question. We need a guarantee that teachers and PSRPs will remain at those schools in order to retain students and families. Keeping the school community whole and together is 100% what the resolution calls for. Finalizing a plan for Santiago and Cisneros is urgent, as Go CPS launches on September 23rd, and those schools need to be listed as options for families with their locations and programming. This is yet to be determined, as the resolution also calls for. We fought hard all last year, and you all voted yes to save our schools. And now your commitment to these students, families, and educators
You have
is
30
vital
seconds
at this
remaining.
time. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Before I call the next union rep, I do want to recognize that Member Lopez has joined the meeting at 10:47 a.m. The next union rep is Trumaine Reeves, SEIU Local 73, Director of CPS Division, who's joining us virtually. Please enter *6 to unmute.
All right. Good morning, President Hardin, Vice President Batista, respective board members, and CEO King. Presently, there's a workforce of close to 2,400 workers who are keeping Chicago Public Schools clean. But unfortunately, come September 30th, that workforce will be reduced to around 1,900. So while SEIU Locals 73 and Local 1 are working in good faith with CPS to ensure a just transition of the 750 private custodians to becoming board custodians, we cannot forget the impact of 500 private custodians who will not be hired by September 30th. With this deficit to the workforce, the schools in the district will not be clean, and the workers who are employed will be unfairly expected to make up the slack. There cannot be an unrealistic expectation that 1,900 workers can achieve the same results as 2,400. So while CPS continues to look for additional funding to ensure that schools are clean, we ask that the first right of refusal extend beyond the 750 private custodians represented by Local 1 to include the 500 who won't be hired to start on September 30th. The 500 who are already part of the school communities, who will no longer be able to partner with the teams that they have cleaned beside for years, if not decades. The 500 who are already trained and knows every inch of the respective schools that they have been responsible for. As a union, we are fully committed to ensuring that Chicago Public Schools are clean, safe, and supported, and we welcome any and all meetings that will help to advance our commitment not only to the workers we represent, but also to all students and staff. Thank you all.
Thank you for your comments. The next union rep is Greg King, SEIU Local 1 Vice President, who is joining us in person.
Good morning, board members, President Hardin, and everyone. My name is Greg King. I am the Vice President of SEIU Local 1. I stand before you on behalf of 1,200 custodians who dedicate their lives to CPS schools to keep them clean, safe, and healthy for our children. These are the workers who open the doors before dawn, who sanitize the classrooms after an illness has swept through the school building, and to ensure that our kids have a clean learning space. But today, those same workers, many of them who are Black and brown, and many of them who have gave decades of service to CPS, were displaced because of this board decision. You have the power to change the lives of 1,200 custodians and families. We are here to demand three demands on dignity, fairness, and justice. Local 1 custodians are calling on the board to do 3 simple things. Number one, CPS must commit to a transition more of SEIU Local 1 custodians. Two, SEIU Local 1 custodians have served CPS students for decades and been into the CPS communities. These workers must be given the first right of refusal before outside people come in and walking through the door. Number three, any SEIU custodians who is transferred into the in-house role represented by SEIU Local 73 must retain their pay and their seniority. Now, just on the process, we just have 100 out of 1,200 have been offered positions in-house, and you're 2 to 3 weeks away from school. We need to make this application process more acceptable in English and Spanish to make sure all be accepted. I hope you all do the right thing by these Local 1 custodians. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Thank you for your comments. President Harden, we are now ready to call speakers from the speakers list. We will begin with Luisa Cardens, who is joining us virtually. Please enter *6 to unmute.
Buenos días, ¿me pueden escuchar? Buenos
Sí,
días.
sí puedes seguir.
Ok, gracias. Buenos días, Presidente Harden, miembros de la Junta Superintendente, Dr. King. Soy padre de CPS y miembro de un concilio. Y sí, estoy de acuerdo en que la Junta debería dar a los miembros del concilio el mismo tiempo para hablar que se les da a los funcionarios electos. Los miembros del concilio también son funcionarios electos. Estoy aquí nuevamente para hablar sobre Interamericana. No estoy seguro si tuvieron la oportunidad de leer el artículo reciente sobre IAMS en Blood Club Chicago, con otro miembro del LSI alzando la voz. Recomiendo que el distrito lo lea si quieren entender el impacto en nuestros estudiantes debido a su inacción. Chicago es único en esto. Tiene un concilio para dar voz a los padres, maestros y miembros de la comunidad en las gestiones de las escuelas. El artículo de Blood Club nos recuerda que la Escuela Interamericana fue fundada por 2 madres y como se indica en el sitio web de IAMS, la tradición del activismo de los padres continúa con familias profundamente involucradas en cada aspecto de la vida escolar. Estamos contando con una colaboración con ustedes y nuestra comunidad escolar, juntos convirtiéndonos en nosotros. Ya han escuchado a nuestros padres de una amplia gama de profesiones y experiencias, incluso un director retirado de CPS, que han llegado a la misma conclusión. El director debe ser removido. El concilio ha seguido las reglas y protocolos establecidos y ha emitido un voto de desconfianza. Se implementaron apoyos de la red y aún así no hubo mejora, sino represalias. Se han presentado cargos.
Te quedan 30 segundos, por favor, concluye.
Y ahora, después de un año, la investigación ha concluido, pero las familias no han sido notificadas del resultado. Doctor King, sabemos que usted comenzó en el distrito en junio y que por lo tanto no ha escuchado los casi 2 años de testimonio de padres del concilio desde el año escolar 23-24. Los padres han invertido muchísimas horas aprendiendo sus políticas y sacando a la luz las violaciones que ocurren en tiempo real interamericano. Estamos pidiendo una acción inmediata. Remuevan al
Gracias por
director
sus
Juan
comentarios.
Carlos.
Por favor,
No hay
concluye.
manera de avanzar, no hay confianza en el liderazgo y la confianza ha sido destruida irreparablemente. Can I say it in English?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. Good morning, President Harden, board members, and Superintendent Dr. King. I am a CPS parent and LSE member, and yes, I agree that the board should give LSE members the same time to speak as given to elected officials. LSE members are also elected officials. I'm here again about Interamerica. I'm not sure if you had a chance to read the recent article on IAMS in Blood Club Chicago, with yet another LSE member speaking out. I recommend the district leaders read it if you want to understand the impact on our students because of your inaction. Chicago is unique in that. It has an LSE to give parents, teachers, and community members a voice in the governance of their school. The Blood Club article reminds us that Inter-American School was founded by 2 mothers, and as stated in IAM's school website, the tradition of parents' activism continues, with family deeply involved in every aspect of our school life. So we are counting on the partnership here with you and our school community together becoming us. By now, you have heard from our parents across the different grade levels, across a wide range of professions and experiences, including a retired CPS principal that have reached the same conclusion. The principal must be removed. The LSC has followed the rules and protocols in place and have casted a vote of non-confidence. Network supports were put in place and still there was no improvement but retaliation instead. Charges have been pressed. Does that mean anything to you? And now, after a year, the investigation is over, but families have not been notified of the results of the investigation. Dr. King, we know that you started with the district in June, and so you haven't heard the nearly 2 years of testimonies from parents and LSC since 2023-2024 school year. Parents have spent too many hours learning your policies and bringing to light the breaches and violations happening in real time at Inter-American. We're asking for immediate action. Remove Principal Juan Carlos Sayas. Unfortunately, there is no way forward. There is no confidence in leadership and trust has been broken beyond repair. Remove Principal Juan Carlos Sayas now and provide IAMS with a temporary administrator to begin the principal selections process. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker is Virginia Jimenez, speaker number 13, who is joining us virtually. Please enter *6 to unmute. Virginia Jimenez, speaker number 13, please enter *6 to unmute.
You're going the wrong way. Good morning, Board of Education members. My name is Virginia Jimenez del Toro. I am a retired CPS principal and my daughter attends Inter-American Magnet School. I'm here today in complete disbelief of what continues to happen to the Inter-American Magnet School community. For some time now, many parents like myself have been speaking at board meetings and LSC meetings, in particular the parents of the 108 kindergarten classroom. This is the classroom where the teacher left on medical leave and all of the incidents that occurred resulted in multiple Title IX complaints. Here are some examples of what has been shared at these public meetings. In the presence of a substitute teacher, a student pinned another student to the floor and placed his knee against his neck. This incident was never reported by the sub to admin, nor did the sub ever inform the parents. The sub did not make any attempt to separate the two students and stated she needed to continue doing her lesson. In the presence of the substitute teacher, a student pinned another student to the wall and was trying to force him to kiss him on the lips. The sub refused to report the incident. Only after the parent volunteer, which is me, informed her that she is a mandated reporter, did she then go to the office and reported to the dual language coordinator. Parents were never notified and no official report was ever made by the school personnel. During the same period of time, the student went home and informed the parents that another student was being very aggressive with him. He had bruises on his arms from being hit. The student later informed the parents this same student was forcing himself on him. He was kissing all parts of his body and making him kiss him on the lips.
You have 30
This
seconds
was reported
remaining.
to the school principal, but the incident was never taken care of. As of yesterday, the substitute teacher who neglected to follow CPS procedures and policies to ensure the safety of all students was rehired as the new kindergarten teacher for the current vacancy. I still don't understand why she was not removed last year and put on a do not hire list. I'm having a really hard time understanding why the principal of the school would re-victimize students by rehiring a licensed teacher who does not have the capacity to keep students safe, follow CPS procedures, and understand her role as a mandated reporter. Once again, we ask
Please conclude
that
your
our
remarks.
plea to remove him as principal of Inter-American School not only be the main topic during the closed session, but that the board take immediate action. Our students are not safe. It is our responsibility to take action, and anything less is unacceptable from our school district. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Before I call the next speaker, I do want to, for the record, I want to note that member DeBerry has joined the meeting at 11 o'clock a.m. The next speaker is Dorothea Handy, speaker number 5, who is here in person.
Good morning, members of the Chicago Board of Education. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you all this morning. My name is Dorothea Handy, and I am the parent of 2 high school students at Perspectives Leadership Campus. I am proud to have been able to choose Perspectives for my children because I firmly believe it is the best school for them. From day one, more than 20 years ago, Perspectives has educated the whole child. Our buildings have multiple social workers who provide excellent care and SEL learning to our children. Our restorative coaches help students participate in restorative justice and healing-centered practices. Our more than 40 after-school and athletic programs not only help students stay engaged, but also help kids discover interests and passions they didn't know they had. Our post-secondary counselors champion every student in their care, helping every senior find a post-graduation path tailored to their hopes, motivations, and dreams. And our community partnerships, such as Chicago Youth Centers and Remix Project and more, continue to broaden the opportunities we offer to our students and families. Perspective's model of holistic student development has been around for more than 2 decades. It is inclusive, community-based, and sustainable. At Perspectives, my children have thrived. I have a great relationship with their principal and teachers. Every parent should have the right to choose the school they believe is best for their children. I respectfully ask this board to continue to
You have 30
protect
seconds
the
remaining.
ability of a parent to choose the school they think is best for their child, district, neighborhood, charter, or any other school. I choose Perspectives because I know my students are in good hands each day when the bell rings at 8:15. Thank you for your opportunity to speak today, and thank you for your service to the students of Chicago.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker is Ashley Jefferson, speaker number 3, who is joining us virtually. Please enter *6 to unmute. Ashley Jefferson, speaker number 3, please enter *6 to unmute. Ashley Jefferson. Ashley Jefferson, please proceed.
Hello.
Yes, please proceed.
Good morning. Good evening, members of the board. I am here today as a parent and community advocate because our children deserve a school that takes their safety seriously. Too often when students report bullying, they are not protected. Instead, they face retaliation. Sometimes it comes from other students, but many times it comes in the form of being dismissed, ignored, or even blamed by the very adults who are supposed to protect them. When schools minimize bullying as kids being kids, they send a dangerous message that harmful behavior is accepted. And when staff fail to act, the cycle of violence and trauma continues. This negligence erodes trust, pushes families away, and leaves students feeling unsafe in the very place where they should feel most secure. CPS has policies on the books to prevent bullying and retaliation, but policies only matter if they are enforced. We need clear accountability for principals and teachers who fail to act. We need mandatory reporting and follow-up on every incident. We need support systems in place for victims so they are not left isolated or traumatized. So I asked the board, why are families still seeing cases of retaliation when their children speak up? What accountability is in place for school leadership that ignores bullying? And most importantly, what steps will CPS take to ensure students is protected, believed, and safe? What needs to change? Zero tolerance for retaliation. CPS must ensure that any retaliation against students who report is investigated immediately. Independent review of bullying cases. Families should not have to rely solely on principals who may minimize incidents. Mandatory reporting and follow-up. Require
You
staff
have
to
30 seconds
document bullying
remaining.
and report and outline what actions were taken. Support for victims. Provide counseling, advocacy, and restorative options to protect well-being. Our children cannot wait. Their safety and dignity must come first. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Jose Torres, speaker number 4.
Good morning, Mr. President and members of the board. I'm Mr. Torres, and I'm a senior seminar teacher for the Aspira Business and Finance High School. And I'm here joined my colleague, who is also a business teacher at the school. The Honorable President, Mr. Hardin, I heard you say at the beginning of the meeting that this board takes voice of equity seriously. And so respectfully, I would like to take you to task on that. I feel that charter schools are unfairly and unjustly being placed in a limited recruiting option. So when parents are looking for a school in the neighborhood, our Go CPS system does not allow parents to select our schools. We have one of the few JROTC programs, Coast Guard, and we have a business program, and we went on our website, on your website today, and it does not allow parents to see that information. And I'm sure this goes for all the other charter schools. What we're asking for is voice of equity. What you said, what your Honorable Mr. Hardin said at the beginning of the meeting. Please give us the opportunity so that we can address these concerns. High schools are 30%, charter schools are 30% of the selection. So imagine if you went into a retail store, for example, Walmart, and you were told that you cannot shop in 30% of the store or 1/3 of the store. You would be severely limited with options. And so in our recent charter visit, we listened to the feedback, our new leadership team, and we've responded with a school improvement plan, and we're implementing, and we're ready for our visit when CPS comes back for our charter renewal.
You have
We would
30
ask
seconds
you-
remaining.
So we would ask you to respectfully help us address the concerns of the community. There are students in that local community that need our school. And I'll share a quick story. I went to James Monroe School as an 8th grader, and I remember that my parents didn't have these charter schools options, and they used their savings to send me to a private school. And I remember that not every student has those options. Let's provide those options for the most marginalized and the most vulnerable and the most unprotected student population, including English language learners in our Black and Brown community. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker is Juan Elias, speaker number 6.
Good morning, members of the board, President Hardin, administration. I just want to piggyback off of what my colleague, Mr. Torres, said. As mentioned, my name is Juan Elias. I teach personal finance to high school students at Aspira Business and Finance High School. It is my neighborhood school. I literally live 7 minutes away. And in respect, as a respect to a neighborhood school, I just want to share, expound a little bit upon our Coast Guard program. A wonderful program, 3 years into the school, yet to make it onto the website for CPS. Our kids are growing leaps and bounds. Our business program, our business and finance and entrepreneurship program. We just recently concluded a Shark Tank with the Hispanic Business Network. And it was very successful. Our kids, our teams, our students' products have received great interest from the business community. And third is our business. And third would be our entrepreneurship program. We have a business department that's working diligently with local neighborhood businesses, businesses in the city of Chicago, and last but not least, junior achievement, where we have Deloitte coming in, United Airlines coming in soon, and a lot of wonderful programs.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
But our students and our families don't have that exposure on the CPS website. So we think with the implementation, with the improvements suggested by the board and by CPS, with your support in promoting our programs, we think our enrollment will go up and it'll be right sized for the school and our community. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker is Barry Tyler, speaker number 7, who is here in person.
Good morning, President Hardin, fellow board members. I am Barry Tyler, and I serve as the Director of Policy and Public Affairs at the Chicago Public Education Fund. As they say in radio, I'm an avid listener, but first-time caller today. Although I've engaged with most of you this year, it is my pleasure to speak to you today about the fund's mission and vision. The fund's mission is simple but powerful: to transform public education in Chicago by investing in the talented leaders of our schools. At its core, we exist to ensure every student in Chicago's public schools has access to an excellent education, one that prepares them for academic success and for life beyond the classroom. We aim to recruit, train, and retain effective school leaders through partnerships with CPS, CPAA, and other stakeholders. We believe that strong and empowered school leaders drive student achievement. So our programs provide Chicago's 646 principals and 650 assistant principals with the tools, coaching, and network needed to improve instruction, strengthen school culture, and meet the unique needs of their students. But this work goes far beyond professional development. We support innovation by helping pilot new strategies and building a diverse and strong leadership pipeline, shifting leadership practice to support personalized instruction, and investing with an equity lens. These programs are grounded in the belief that when properly supported, our leaders will create the conditions needed for teachers to thrive and for students to excel. For the past 25 years, the fund has invested nearly $100 million in educators across the city, and the results are tangible. Stronger instructional practices, higher attendance, improved graduation rates, and most importantly, students who
You have
believe
30
in and
seconds
grow into
remaining.
their full potential. We hope to deepen our collaboration with you through our programming and events, data sharing, school visits, and monthly 5x5s, where our staff, school leaders, and partners share updates, discuss best practices, surface challenges, and design collective solutions. Lastly, we invite you to attend our annual Principal Appreciation Celebration on October 16th at the Museum of Science and Industry. Thank you for your time and unwavering dedication to Chicago students. Together, we can continue to build conditions where school leaders are supported, teachers thrive, students succeed, and every CPS school becomes a place of opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker is Reina Rodriguez, speaker number 8, who's here in person.
Good morning. Buenos días. Buenos días, CEO, Dr. King, Presidente Harden, miembros de la Junta de Educación e invitados. Mi nombre es Reina Rodríguez y estoy hoy ante ustedes no solo como una madre preocupada, sino como una voz para nuestros hijos, nuestras familias y nuestra comunidad. Nos enfrentamos a otro momento crítico y necesito que todos ustedes escuchen nuestra súplica. La noticia de que la arquidiócesis ha puesto a la venta la Escuela de Santiago ha enviado ondas de choque a través de nuestra comunidad. Lo que se suponía que tenía que ser un comienzo feliz del año escolar fue una vez más un momento de tristeza. Nuestros hijos, que deberían concentrarse en sus estudios y sueños, ahora están llenos de miedo y incertidumbre. Me hacen preguntas que me cuesta responder, como el ¿tendremos que movernos? ¿Qué pasará con mis amigos? ¿Todavía podré atender? Imaginen el peso de esa preocupación sobre sus hombros jóvenes. Es una carga que ningún niño debería tener que soportar. Merecen sentirse seguros y protegidos en su entorno de aprendizaje, libres del estrés que conlleva la incertidumbre de su futuro. Esta agitación emocional no solo es una distracción, es una barrera para su educación. Cuando nuestros estudiantes están ansiosos, su capacidad de aprendizaje disminuye. No solo son números o estadísticas, son individuos brillantes y talentosos con sueños que merecen ser nutridos. Les ruego que
Te quedan
entiendan la
30
urgencia de
segundos, por
nuestra
favor,
situación.
concluye.
Nuestras familias están buscando respuestas y necesitan tranquilidad. No podemos permitir que este miedo dicte su viaje educativo. No pasemos otros 6 meses de ida y vuelta. Ayúdenos ahora. Insisto a cada uno de ustedes a tomar medidas inmediatas. Necesitamos su apoyo para ayudar a aliviar este estrés emocional y proporcionar a nuestros hijos la estabilidad que merecen. En la carpeta que todos tienen, hay una carta firmada por los padres de Santiago que le enviamos a nuestros alcaldes y a ustedes, y hemos puesto una idea en la que nos pueden ayudar en este
Gracias por
asunto.
tus comentarios. Por favor, concluye.
No estamos pidiendo mucho, solo un compromiso para ayudar a encontrar una solución para que proporcionen a nuestros estudiantes. Gracias por su tiempo, su atención y su comunidad, y de verdad espero que puedan poner este asunto en su agenda para el próximo meeting. Gracias.
We'll now have the statement translated.
Good morning, CEO Dr. King, President Hardin, esteemed members of the Chicago Board of Education, honored guests and attendees. Today I stand before you not as a worried mother, but as a voice to our children, our families, and our community. We are facing another critical moment, and I need you all to hear our plea. The news that the Archdiocese has put a Santiago school for sale has sent shockwaves through our community. What was supposed to be a happy start of the school year was yet again a moment of sadness. Our children, who should be focused on their studies and dreams, are now filled with fear and uncertainty. They ask me questions that I struggle to answer. Will we have to move? What will happen to my friends? Will I still be able to learn? Imagine the weight of that worry on their young shoulders. It's a burden no child should have to bear. They deserve to feel safe and secure in their learning environment, free from stress that comes with uncertainty about their future. This emotional turmoil is not just a distraction. It is a barrier to their education. When our students are anxious, their ability to learn diminishes. They are not just numbers or statistics. They are bright, talented individuals with dreams that deserve to be nurtured. I implore you to understand the urgency of our situation. Our families are looking for answers, and they need reassurance. We cannot let this fear dictate their educational journey. Let's not go another 6 months of back and forth. Help us now. I urge each of you to take immediate action. We need your support to help alleviate this emotional stress and provide our children with the stability they deserve. In the folder you all got there is a letter from the Santiago community and parents urging our mayor to help us. We have outlined ways you can assist us in this urgent matter. We are not asking for much, just a commitment to help us find a solution, to provide our students and families with the answers they need. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your commitment to our community. And again, I really hope you can all put this important matter on your agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Olivia Goldstein, speaker number 10.
Hi. Excuse me. Hi, my name's Olivia Goldstein. I am a teacher at Esmeralda Santiago, one of the 5 Acero schools that's to transition to a CPS school in 26-27 school year. I want to be clear that I'm speaking as a teacher, a community member, a parent today. Santiago is a high-performing school, and right now that success is at risk in a few ways. As Ms. Rodriguez said, our building is up for sale. The Archdiocese put our building up for sale at the beginning of August, and we appreciate Board Member Rivas's support at those press conferences at coming to our back to school night last week, and Alderman Villegas's support in saying that we do need to keep this building open. If CPS doesn't purchase this building, we risk losing an active and thriving school that serves primarily Black and Brown students. And in its place, we could see luxury condos go up, which accelerate the gentrification of the Puerto Rican community that it's in. It's not what's best for kids. And that's what you guys voted on, that this was going to be best for kids when you decided to bring our school into CPS. Second, our students learning. From where I stand as a teacher in the classroom, I'm concerned that it feels as though Acero is deliberately withholding necessary curricular materials this year from our students, materials that students had in the past, that students had before the board
You
made
have
the
30
decision.
seconds remaining.
This feels retaliatory. In my opinion, it's a disinvestment in our youngest learners. For my students, it's their phonemic awareness curriculum. And it makes it impossible to provide a curriculum with fidelity, and it undermines the success of our students. If Acero continues on this path, it threatens to erode the very academic strength that makes Santiago a school worth saving. So I'm here to say clearly, if we lose our building, we lose a high-performing school. And if we allow Acero's disinvestment to continue, we risk losing a high-performing school. CPS must act to
Please
protect
conclude
both.
your remarks.
We urge CPS to commit to buying the Santiago building so that our students and families can continue to thrive in this school community that they know and love. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Before I call this last speaker from the speakers list, I do want to note for the record, Member Smith joined the meeting at 11:21 a.m. I do want to note that I've been informed that we are under a hard lockdown right now. There's been a shooting at the Target across the street. I'm going to go ahead and call the last speaker from the speakers list, Markeen McDonald, speaker number 12.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. President and the board. My name is Marquin McDonald. And I come to you today not only as a parent of a prospective student, but as a community member, elected official, and the dean of students at a local school. I have seen education from many angles. As a parent advocating for my own child, as a dean of students advocating for or working with youth, young people every day, and as someone committed to building safer, stronger communities across Chicago. Schools are the heart of our communities. They are where children learn, not just academics, but values, friendships, and a sense of belonging. Everyday teachers and staff work tirelessly to support students and help them grow into thoughtful, capable citizens. Strong schools make strong neighborhoods. When our schools thrive, so do our communities. Perspectives Charter Schools has been transformative for my own daughter, helping her find her voice, build confidence, and develop resilience, the resilience she needs to face life's challenges. Every child in Chicago deserves this same opportunity. This is why funding this is critical. Students need up-to-date materials, access to technology, and extracurriculars that allow them to explore their talents. They also need mental health and social-emotional support alongside academics. I urge you to ensure every public school, neighborhood, selective enrollment, or charter has the resources it needs to help children thrive. This is not just about education policy. This is about the future of our city. Thank you for listening and standing with Chicago families as we fight for equity and the opportunity for every student. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I do want to note that we have been informed that it is now a soft lockdown. This concludes, President Hardin, this concludes public participation.
Before we continue, I'd like to offer Chief Mayfield opportunity to provide some comments.
Thank you, President Hardin. In hearing some of the comments about the custodians from our union partners, you know, we value that relationship, and I just wanted to make sure I clarified a few things. One, we truly and deeply value the work that our custodians do, and we remain committed in showing that appreciation to them each and every day. We actually have Custodial Appreciation Day coming up on October 2nd. So be on the lookout for more information in regards to that, to not only to our board, but to communities and families. But to clarify a couple things. So for several years, we've operated under a hybrid custodial model. And as part of our strategic plan, one of the things that we wanted to try to improve was transitioning those services in-house. So they'll no longer be fully outsourced or partially outsourced, they will be fully insourced. To really support that transition, it's important to know that working directly with those private custodians who wish to remain with CPS, we've actually helped them to guide them through the application process. We're providing hands-on assistance as needed, and to date, we've received over 1,000 applications, and we've actually extended more than 600 offers to custodians, with approximately 200 of those candidates have successfully cleared the onboarding process as we continue to reach our target. We are providing free background checks and drug tests, again, trying to remove as many barriers as possible. These are usually a cost to applicants, but we remove those and we'll take those charges on to expedite the process. As far as pay, we have been in contact with Local One to be able to have some candid dialogue and to see where we can true up on the custodial pay. We haven't received adequate documentation to support that, so now we are taking our next step internally to assess, to take practical steps to really assess what we can do there. So those conversations will continue to be ongoing. And then we also make sure that we prioritize our custodians, again, who are in the hiring process. And we want to give them the first opportunity to honor their service and their continuity to the services that they provide to the school. So as as the applicants that we receive, the privatized custodians that we have today, again, we want to honor their applications first so we can make sure that we're acknowledging the proud work that they've been doing for the number of years that they've been under our umbrella. Shifting gears, in response to the public comments about Acero, I just want to clarify the 5 charter schools, Casillas, Cisneros, Fuentes, Santiago, and Tamayo. They will be included in the next Go CPS cycle, which is launching on September 23rd. I just wanted to provide some of those clarifying remarks so that we were all aligned. Thank you, President Harden.
Thank you, Chief Mayfield, for making that clear to everyone. Want to open it up for comments or questions from the board. Just a moment before I do that, though, I do want to recognize that we have, and we do have intentions of working closely with the charter community around the ICE issue. We recognize the significance of making sure that we have good open communication and working collaboratively across the district. So we do have intentions of increasing that work and working directly with our charter leaders. That's one of the things I'll be working directly with our board chief of staff on. So with that, just like to open it up to the board for any other comments or questions. Member Lopez.
Thank you, President. Also to thank you for those that were able to provide public comment, to those Santiago parents. I've engaged in conversations with Board Member Rivas and also Board Member Brown as we continue to see what's the best solution and discussing with the community, and acknowledging that I received the letter from Alderman Villegas, also looking to see what ways we can partner up with the city to look for a solution. That being said, dear colleagues and community, as we enter Hispanic Heritage Month, we do so in a time of fear for many families in our city. We cannot lose sight of what we can do right now with the power we have collectively. While families go to bed praying not to be separated, our students walk into school carrying those same fears. If you hear me tremble today, it's because it's personal. I speak today with urgency and deep concern. The escalation near our schools, most recently by Curie High School in the 7B district, has had a devastating impact on students and families with ripple effects across the city. I may not be on the streets this morning passing Know Your Rights information like I've done throughout the week, but I'm here in this seat to advocate for the families and the students we serve, and we cannot accept anything less than what English learners, students, and families deserve. We must do right by them. As a representative of one of the largest immigrant districts, I urge CPS leadership to act swiftly in 4 areas in response to the questions I submitted earlier this week. 1, attendance. Tracking how many students are being absent, and it's tied to the immigration enforcement. If we are able to provide an excuse absent, and continue to review remote learning options. Use of CPS property. Clarify policies on federal agents using CPS spaces outdoors like parking lots and playgrounds, and retraining staff and issue guidance for schools. Safe passage. Many families were encouraged to use safe passage routes. Let's restore those hours and positions that have been impacting our neighborhoods, in particular in schools that are being hit by immigration right now. As it was mentioned, for the charter and option schools, I would like to know what are the protocols and protections across campuses, and how is the district supporting charter schools and also option schools. Our families cannot carry this burden alone. Schools must remain safe spaces to protect and support. This moment calls for urgency, clarity, and unity. I was once an English learner myself. You may hear it by my accent or from the Spanish conversations that I have. I know firsthand what these students are going through. We must not accept anything less for our English learner students. Chicago must show, not just say, what we embrace is diversity. We have a moral and financial responsibility to serve every student, whether it's district or charter, regardless of background, language, or origin. Families are taxpayers, even if they're not eligible to vote. It looks like this year we have 409 schools that are required to provide bilingual programs. So I ask, what is the update and timeline on the state corrective action plan? How many investigations into bilingual and ESL programs are open or recently completed? And what audits has CPS conducted of these programs? How English language program teachers' positions have shifted and how districts supporting and investing in the success of ELPT and English learners? How well we educate our students will shape the future of our city. So let's not fall short. Thank you.
Member Zakor.
Thank you so much, President Harden, and thank you, Board Member Lopez, for those comments. Those are really important for us to hear at this time. I want to address another group of students that are among our most vulnerable, which is our students with special needs. And Mr. Potter alluded to this in his comments. I've been hearing from multiple of my schools since school started concerns about special ed coverage at the school. While most of the time people are talking about a loss of SICAs, and so students are not getting all of their needs met as a result of that. In one case, a school is lacking special ed teachers, and now their case manager is having to teach classes, and they had to pay for a teacher out of discretionary funds. Besides hearing that there's not enough staffing in classes, we have received information that there are students still waiting to be assigned to a cluster class and told, oh, go to your neighborhood school. But if the neighborhood school doesn't have a cluster program, then the services they need are not going to be available. People have talked to us about this concept of rightful presence, and it's a great concept, but not if it's being used to reduce needed services. So with all the urgent reports that we're receiving, we need data. We need data on the current state of affairs in all of our schools. So how many students are not in school as a result of there not being classes for them, how many positions are vacant and where are they located, what is being done to ensure that all minutes are covered and that schedules allow SICAs to take breaks. How are we ensuring that students that have IEPs and REL students are having their needs met? All of those are things that we need to understand, given how much information we're getting, that we are not fulfilling legal or moral mandates with regard to these learners. So I'm asking that this information be provided to us as quickly as practical. Thank you.
Thank you. Would just like to request updates before the next board meeting to board members privately or in public at the next board meeting on resolutions, including the charter school resolution, and some of the questions that were asked about updates that we have moving forward for contract language. And the Green Schools resolution, the plan for implementation, given that we now have our capital plan approved, and as well as a legislative plan for the upcoming year. You know, since January, we have not approved a legislative agenda, which is in the board bylaws, that we take a vote to approve the legislative agenda, which should include, as a top priority, a plan for revenue. And as veto session is approaching, we still have not approved a legislative agenda. And so I know that our IGA team is working on that, but it's important that in addition to the updates that we receive outside of board meetings, that we publicly approve a plan, because to advocate for the resources that we need, it's going to take a lot more than just us. We need to be engaging the public, families, students, parents, and our staff in making sure that we achieve our legislative goals. So I would kindly request that we receive those updates on those three matters no later than the next board meeting. Thank you.
Member Blaze.
Thank you, President Harden.
I would also like updates. It's not in my district, but the Inter-American, if, I don't know if we can send that, any updates on that to everyone. I'm still really confused why, they've been coming here for a year and I feel like they have no resolution. Additionally, and just to co-sign what member Zachar, I think I got me pronouncing it incorrectly, what member Zachar was saying, talking to a couple of friends of mine that are SICAs, they're definitely short. They're short at Whitney Young. They're short. She said that it feels like that we've gone back 7 years. And that we're barely meeting the minimums. And if that's the case, we may not be meeting the minimums, which means that there are lawsuits pending. And obviously, we don't have any room in the budget for lawsuits. So I'd really like an update on the status of SICAs and how we're doing, how we are providing for our special ed students. I think it goes without saying that historically speaking, SPED students and students with a variety of challenges in the past were always thought of first when it came to cuts. And it's a little unfortunate that we're still thinking in that way. So updates on the SICAs would be great. And just a shout out to Barry from the fund for wearing a suit for us today. Nice touch. And that's it. Thanks so much.
President Harden, I do want to give an update. We are still under a soft lockdown. Officers are outside, but there is no entering or leaving the building at this point.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from the board? If not, this concludes public participation. We'll now proceed with potential board reports to be considered at the September 25th, 2025 regular meeting. After each item is presented, board members will have the opportunity to ask their questions briefly and make comments before proceeding to the next item on the agenda.
Board members, we will begin with the following education items. Numbers 1 through 3. We'll begin with number 1, authorize the first renewal agreement with School Links, Inc.
Good morning, board members. Thank you to Dr. King, and to all of you for volunteering your time for being with us this morning. I get the extreme privilege today to present to you item number 1 around renewing the School Links contract. My name is Dr. Heidi Truax. I use she, her pronouns. I get to be the Executive Director of School Counseling and Post-Secondary Advising for Chicago Public Schools. We are asking for your approval of the School Links renewal. It is the first and final 2-year renewal of this platform. We are ending our initial 3-year contract with School Links. It is the district's sole post-secondary enterprise platform. For those of you that have a history with CPS, this is what replaced Naviance, right? So if you were a teacher and you remember doing rec letters and there were like 13 steps for you to do to submit a rec letter for every single kid, it's now 2 clicks. You're welcome. And that's because of School Links, right? So School Links has replaced Naviance for us. The amount will not exceed $1.6 million, which is a reduction in the per student cost from $5.84 with our previous vendor to $3.67 with this vendor. This vendor has also allowed us to sunset several smaller vendors because it is effectively a department store for post-secondary enterprise platforms, folding everything from scholarships to alumni services to career exploration to military branch exploration and exposure activities, to virtual campus visits, to actual taking the steps of applying to college, selecting colleges, thinking about match, affordability, and fit, and ultimately making those decisions. It is important to note that the renewal terms will start January 1st of 2026 with an end date of December 31st, 2027. The vendor was originally selected via an RFP process. And I do think it's important to note that the vendor is minority and women-owned business and founded. However, because of how they're structured, they do not qualify for MBE or WBE. The performance of this vendor since the initial contract date has been better than imagined. The transition from Naviance to SchoolLinks was thankfully quite seamless because the vendor was so proactive in making sure that our back-end systems worked flawlessly with their platform. It has allowed us to increase student engagement. For example, in this previous school year 25, we saw 70% of students in CPS in grades 6 through 12, which are the grade levels served by this platform, engage with the platform directly to complete what we call individualized learning plan tasks, which can be thought of as building blocks for their post-secondary portfolio. That usage is up 16% from where we were at with Naviance after 8 years of usage. So again, just seeing incredible traction occurring with this new platform. I do want to note, and it might sound a little dramatic, the risk of not renewing this platform is that there would literally be no centralized technical support for post-secondary going for our students. This is the place that students apply to college. This is the place that students submit transcripts, that adults submit their transcripts, send their rec letters, etc. It is also a primary resource for students to get that first level of exposure through a technical platform about career options. They do a would you rather assessment, for example, the first time they log on, where they're swiping left and right based on interests, and then it'll pull up people they recognize, whether they're from TikTok, Lord help us, or in political positions or celebrities saying, hey, your interests align with this person that you know, and here was what their correct career path looked like, and helps them draw those connections. This vendor is a vital part of the post-secondary success pillar in our Together We Rise plan. It also plays a vital role in us closing equity gaps specific to post-secondary for all of our students. It has translation abilities across our 7 major languages spoken within the district. It has incredible adaptations for our young people with disabilities, with read aloud aspects. It's way more visually engaging, allows for interaction. It also has allowed us to adapt tasks to appropriately serve our cluster students. Finally, I will just note that the last time I was before you all, A, I felt better, so I was much more charismatic. B, I got to talk to you about how we have improved college enrollment in this district exponentially over the last 20 years. And so I do want to make sure to recenter that this is the technical platform that helps ensure that that growth continues. We have such incredible staff that will always make sure our young people have access, but they need the technical support in order to really make that possible. Thank you.
Member Lopez.
Thank you, Board President. Can this program also be used to track trade opportunities or any apprenticeships?
Yes, apologies for not including that in my speech. So it is the first platform, since the previous one could not, it was college only. This platform really serves all pathways. So we can document all student experiences, we can doc internships, apprenticeships, we get to expose them based on their interests to current opportunities within the city that they qualify for that align to where their interest points are.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Before we continue, I do want to note for the record that Vice President Bautista has joined the meeting at 11:43 a.m. and Vice President Bautista has joined virtually via Zoom. I will read the titles for the education items numbers 2 and 3, and the subject matter expert will present on those 2 items. Number 2, amend agreement with Ombudsman Educational Services Limited and Pathways in Education Illinois. And number 3, authorize the first and second final renewal agreement with Ombudsman Educational Services Limited and Pathways in Education Illinois.
Good morning, board members. My name is Molly Mikolajczyk. I'm the Director of Authorization in the Options Network in the Office of Network Support. Today, I'll be presenting 2 items related to the Alternative Learning Opportunity Programs, or the ALOPs. ALOPs represent one of the alternative school models within the options portfolio, and they are designed to serve students that are older, off track, and have not been successful in a traditional model. The 2 ALOP vendors are Pathways in Education Illinois and Ombudsman Educational Services. Each vendor operates 4 campuses each that are located all over the city. Combined, they serve approximately 2,000 to 2,200 students at any given time. The first item that I'll be recommending today is to approve an amendment to the board report authorizing the agreement with the ALOP vendors to increase the not to exceed amount from $60 million to $65 million for the 2-year term. The original not to exceed limit of $60 million for the 2 years was established based on historical spends. Although these programs are operated by vendors, they are funded in a similar method to contract and charter schools. Therefore, the annual cost increase each year is in alignment with the increased funding needed for all schools across the district. The primary factors for the annual increase in funding includes increases in student enrollment, increases in student attendance, increases in facility supplements because these campuses operate in independent facilities, and increases in federal grant allocations. Additionally, the district last year has allocated additional funds to OST, or out of school programming, to further engage these students in these programs. And there has also been stipends for professional development. Raising the NTE, or the not to exceed limit, is crucial to ensure these vendors can continue to equitably serve these students. Failure to do so would not only constrain their revenue, which would have a direct negative impact on these students that they're serving. It would also directly contradict the funding allocation terms outlined in the contract that CPS executed with these vendors. It would also contradict the terms outlined in the annual CPS budget book. In school year 25, the ALOPs were allocated a little more than $30 million, which is slightly more than half of the total NTE for the 2-year term. Given the annual increase for funding for all schools, we are recommending an increase of the NTE to $65 million to ensure that we are able to appropriately fund these programs to continue serving this highly vulnerable student population. So I will open it up for questions before moving on to the next item.
Member Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you talk about the contract that we're obligated to, I was looking at some of the deliverables that ALOPs are obligated to as well, and one of them is a program with adequate and appropriate equipment and supplies. Member Boyle and I have been able to visit some ALOPs programs where we saw that they did not have adequate equipment. They had broken Chromebooks, they had to share Chromebooks, and they didn't have enough equipment. My question is, for the money we're paying, if we're not receiving the deliverables, are they holding true to the contract, or is that a breach of contract?
That's a great question. I think it's a little bit of a complicated answer so the ALOPs are such a unique thing in CPS. While they are vendors, they operate like standalone schools. So they operate similar to charter and contract schools. So in terms of looking at student outcomes or even things such as like equipment, I mean, there's a number of things that we put in charter and contract agreements with the goal that all of those things will be met. However, I would argue, the route to remediation would not be to cut their funding, but would be to go into those schools and hold them accountable. So actually, I wrote this down because this was something I was unaware of, but definitely something that we can look into and continue to monitor and ensure that students are receiving the services that they need, including equipment, including things like special education services, English learner services, and everything in between.
Thank you, and I appreciate it because, you know, when we look at the outcomes and we look at the fact that ALOP students are not performing better year after year, and they haven't come through with the deliverables in terms of equipment, that may be a direct effect of the impact on students and learning. Thank you for checking into that.
Member Boyle.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to echo what Dr. Smith said. We heard it first from the children that were giving us the tour of the school. And in general, they were positive about the school, but they wanted to make sure we knew that they didn't have the equipment. It was either not working, it was slow to connect to the internet, so I'm not too sure if part of it might be their internet provider at the location, but most of their work is done using the computer, is what the students explained to us. And so they were really handicapped by not having working, I believe it was Chromebooks. And when Dr. Smith and I went back and talked to the admin of the program, you know, to let them know this is what the students shared with us, that that was a concern for them. You know, I was trying to say, well, a Chromebook is like $200. It's not really expensive. I would think at the end of the year or whatever, you would sort of like take an inventory, what ones need to be replaced, and make sure everybody has it up and running and is able to access. I'd appreciate follow-up on that for those kids. Thanks.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're more than happy to follow up on that.
Okay, thank you, President Harden. Yeah, I just wanted to ask if for the next meeting, we could get like a itemization or breakdown of the primary factors and how much each one is contributing to this need for $5 million additional dollars. So you have a list here of primary factors contributing. If you could just say, okay, increased attendance, you know, we're projecting this need, and increased, you know, using the after-school programs, we project it to be this amount. If you could break that down.
So I just want to make sure I'm understanding your question correctly. So you want kind of a projection of each of those factors that are contributing to increased funding, like how much is in each of those? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
There've been a number of questions posed to the district on a number of different issues. I'm going to ask that the board members send all of your inquiries to Faye, our chief of staff, so that she can facilitate getting responses back to the board members. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So the second item that I'll be recommending today is to authorize the first and second and final agreements from the original contract to renew the ALOP programs for school years 27 and 28. So the ALOP designation is established and approved by ISB, and the purpose is to provide alternative learning environments with a broader range of academic, behavioral, and social emotional interventions intended to engage students who are at risk of academic failure. I want to provide some context around the renewal of ALOPs, because although they are run by external organizations, the renewal process is very, very different from that of our contract and our charter schools. So specifically, these programs are vendors, and therefore their renewal is processed through procurement. So the ALOP submitted an application in response to an RFP, which was most recently released in school year 24. Those applications were then evaluated by a team of subject matter experts across CPS. Based on those evaluations, and they were then recommended and later approved for a 2-year contract. And today we are recommending a renewal of that contract for an additional 2 years. We are recommending a not to exceed limit of $70 million for the upcoming contract to account for the increase in annual per pupil funding that I discussed earlier. And again, as a reminder, the funding for ALOPs is aligned with the per pupil funding models used for charter and contract schools. So I think as Board Member Boyle mentioned, I do want to highlight some of the attributes of these programs that set them apart from other option schools. So they offer self-paced blended learning models. So this is really a combination of online learning mixed with small group instruction and some individual support, but is really focused on independent learning for credit attainment. Additionally, these programs are able to offer flexible scheduling, but there are fewer instructional hours. So these programs offer 4-hour sessions twice a day, and then there's a 5th independent hour. So as with all of our other option schools, the academic performance of the ALOPs is evaluated using the, I'm gonna pause.
May I have your attention? May I have your attention? As you may be aware, there was a police incident outside causing a brief lockdown. Of one or Dearborn, the lockdown has been lifted. May I have your attention? May I have your attention? As you may be aware, there was a police incident outside that causing the brief lockdown of one or Dearborn. The lockdown has been lifted. Again, the lockdown has been lifted. All individuals entering and leaving the building must do so through the building lockdown until further notice. Thank you for your cooperation during this event. May I have your attention? May I have your attention? The lockdown has been lifted at 1 North Dearborn. Again, the lockdown has been lifted. All individuals entering and leaving the building must do so through the building dock until further notice. Thank you for cooperation in this event. Can I interject for just a moment? For the record, I do want to note that Board Member Gutierrez has arrived at the meeting at 12:00 p.m. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna start that last section over. Okay, so as with all of our option schools, the academic performance is evaluated using the options accountability policy. So some key indicators that are included on that include growth for reading and math scores, attendance, credit attainment, graduation rates, post-secondary credentials, the 5 essentials, and then we also monitor and support special education practices and compliance, teacher licensure, and English learner services. Due to the similarity of the programs, due to the similarity of the program models, the academic performance of the programs is pretty similar in terms of the student outcomes that we see. The options accountability designations for school year 26 will not be available until October. However, in school year 25, there were a few schools within each vendor that were on the intensive academic support list. When the programs are placed on this list, the Options Network engages with them to provide various activities, professional developments, and we work to provide additional intensive support and resources to improve those student outcomes. Leadership from both vendors, Pathways and Ombudsman, have openly and actively engaged with the Options Network and have taken advantage of the support and the resources offered. So they've consistently attended our school leader meetings in which they collaborate, share best practices, and learn from other school leaders serving similar student populations. They have participated in the rigor walks conducted by the Options Network, which has helped to improve their instructional program. And many of their school level staff have attended and participated in our attendance PLCs, leading to increases in attendance. So lastly, I just want to highlight that if not approved, if this renewal is not approved, approximately 2,000 to 2,200 students would lose this resource. They would lose this opportunity for academic remediation, and all of those students would need to be transitioned to another school by the end of the current academic school year. So I will now open it up for questions.
No additional questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Board members, we will continue with the following finance items, numbers 4 and 5. I'll read the titles and the subject matter expert will present on those two items. Item 4, amend policy on auditor independence and provision of consulting services by external auditors. Item 5, amend policy for imposition of charges on return payment instruments.
Good afternoon. My name is Almond Turner. I'm Director of Financial Reporting and Accounting in the Office of the Controller in the Finance Department. I've come down this morning to please request that we amend two policies, item 4 and item 5, which have not been updated since 2002 and 2003, respectively. The first item is to amend our auditor independence policy for the changes in the accounting industry over the past 20 years, and to because of certain scandals and changes in the laws and the Congress, suffice it to say that auditor independence is very important now, and that auditors are prohibited from doing almost all activities except testing your account balances and reporting on the functioning of your controls and their reasonableness and materiality. As you can see, the policy specifically excludes what they cannot do. They cannot determine account balances. They cannot process transactions. They cannot provide appraisals or valuation services. They cannot provide actuarial studies. We have different actuaries engaged to evaluate our pension systems and our liabilities for workers' compensation, general liability insurance, and so on. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what this policy does is update our policy to be more modern for auditor independence and specifically prohibits what they can and cannot do. Which is, what more or less every company and every government has done over the past 23 years. So I will open up for questions on this, and then I will talk about the other policy, item 5, which has to do with return checks and charging a charge for return checks. So go ahead. If there's any questions on the auditor policy, I'd be happy to answer them.
Good morning.
Morning.
So one of the questions I have is, in our current policy, as we're making changes, are some of these recommended changes from our auditors, from things that they've tested over the course of in our last audit?
Not really. These changes are recommended by best practices and by studying the new laws that have changed over the past 23 years. The auditors, they pretty much know their new duties, and they don't get involved with changing our policies. They might recommend something in a management letter to us, but they would not be involved in this. No, this comes from senior management in finance and law department and so on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other questions?
No, you may continue.
Okay, thank you. So the next policy comes from 2003. It's quite old, 22 years. It has to do with checks that are returned from our stakeholders, like parents, customers, vendors, and donors, and so on. I can tell you that there's roughly 120 checks returned a year, a fiscal year, for CPS, and that we pay the bank, JP Morgan Chase, $4.18 for each return check. Okay, so we're talking about a charge of approximately $500 a year. We are keeping the policy at $34 to prevent customers or vendors from repeatedly writing us insufficient checks. For the most part, we are waiving this policy 100% of the time right now. We do not wish to aggravate or confront parents for a $34 charge. The other thing is that we forgive the policy based on the forgiveness of fees policy, the existing policy that CPS has. We also, there's a school internal accounts manual that is written every year, updated every year, revised. And we will be discussing this change in that policy at the next revision. So if there's any questions on this, I would be happy to answer them.
Just one clarifying. So the policy in total, or are we looking at relieving just for parents?
No, we are now forgiving all charges, vendors, donors, employees, etc. Yes.
Thank you for your presentation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
This concludes the first portion of the board reports on public agenda. We'll now move into a short recess. Board Member Boyle, do you have motion MO1? Is
I move that the board take a 30-minute recess.
there a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you. I'll proceed with a roll call. Member Lozano,
Yes.
Member Smith,
Aye.
Member Lopez,
Aye.
Member Velez,
Aye.
Member Boyle,
Yes.
Member Wallace,
Aye.
Member Custer,
Aye.
Member Rosenfeld,
Yes.
Member Rivas,
Yes.
Member Rio Sierra,
Aye.
Member Bannon,
Aye.
Member Gutierrez,
Aye.
Member Biggs,
Yes.
Member Thodakura,
Yes.
Member Blaze,
Aye.
Member Zakor,
Yes.
Member DeBerry,
Aye.
Vice President Bautista, I'm sorry, she's not online. Oh, she motioned her hand, so she is present. 18 I'm sorry, she said yes. 18 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions. This motion is adopted by the board. This meeting will now go into a 30-minute recess. We're ready.
The meeting of the Board of Education is reconvened. Board members, we will now proceed with the second group of potential board reports to be considered at the September 25th, 2025 regular meeting. After each item is presented, board members will have the opportunity to ask their questions and make comments before proceeding to the next item on the agenda.
Board members will continue with the following information and technology item. Number 6, authorize second renewal agreement with Apple Inc.
Good afternoon. My name is Ed Wagner, and I'm the Acting Chief Information Officer for with Information and Technology Services. We are requesting authorization for the second renewal for the purchase of Apple hardware, software, and services for the district for a term of 1 year and a not-to-exceed price of $27 million. This contract is to provide a procurement avenue for departments and schools to purchase Apple hardware and software. The district has standardized that grades K through 2 have iPads, since tablet devices are easier for the young students to use than the more traditional devices with keyboards. iPads are leveraged over other tablet manufacturers due to the Apple ecosystem. They simply have the most comprehensive selection of applications, especially for education-related projects or products. Some schools also choose to use Apple devices because of preference or for specific types of labs, such as graphic design and video editing labs. Given our financial situation, we've had to switch from a centralized funding model to schools needing to leverage discretionary funds to replace end-of-life devices. As a result, the not-to-exceed cost is an estimate of replacing approximately 50% of our end-of-life Apple devices. Replacing end-of-life devices is necessary to ensure a consistent and positive user experience and to reduce the risk of reduce security risks of having unsupported operating systems that don't currently have any security updates to them. The historical spend was high in FY24 and has been relatively small since then. This is a result of the ending of federal funds to help us pay for devices and combined with our current financial situation. The equity focus of this agreement is resource equity. It assures that all schools have a procurement avenue to maintain one-to-one student-device ratios. The vision connection is modernization of technology and systems, since it allows us to replace end-of-life and obsolete devices, reducing our technical debt. If this agreement is not approved, the district would be unable to purchase Apple products and software, as there are no other agreements within the district that provide the ability to do so. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Just one quick question, Chief. How long is considered end of life?
So our life cycle is typically 5 years at the present time. A lot of the end of life devices are actually over that amount, and currently Apple does not allow for any additional updates to their operating system, which is where the security risk comes in.
Got it. And given the almost monopoly Apple has, are we still able to negotiate good pricing?
So we've been able to negotiate kind of in the margins. So we have services that are wrapped around these devices, such as configuring and delivering them to schools, getting them set up. The pricing that we get from Apple for the devices themselves is a set price that they have for education for the whole United States.
Got it. Thank you. Member Bennett.
What's the breakdown on hardware and software? Is more of this a hardware cost or more of a software cost?
It's definitely more than hardware cost. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but I can get them to you.
At the end of the life cycle, are the devices recycled or sold for parts, or what happens?
Yeah, so this is something that we're looking more into. So currently we have a recycling vendor that comes and picks up these devices and either sells them on the gray market or disposes them in according to make sure that they're safely destroyed. We are looking at some partners of Apple that provide more residual value from Apple devices because they do tend to maintain some of their residual value more than other devices. So we're looking into those types of vendors. The problem with that is that they require a little bit more hand holding. So we might need to move the devices to a central location in order to get them properly recycled, or other kind of constraints that we might have with those particular vendors.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Board members, we will continue with the following safety and security item number 7. Authorize the second final renewal agreement with Accurate Biometrics, Inc.
Good afternoon, President Harden, other esteemed board members. I would also like to acknowledge and greet Dr. King, CEO, COO Mayfield, and other members of the CPS administration team. My name is Kimyata Dabney, and I am the Director of Safety Services for CPS's Office of School Safety and Security. I lead a team of 9 background check specialists managing the background check process across 6 work streams: potential candidates for CPS employment, vendor employees, volunteers at schools, charter school employees, pipeline programs such as student teachers and counselors in schools, and local school council members. The background check process is a multi-step process which consists of a review of both FBI and Illinois State Police criminal histories, check of all national and statewide sex offender registries, the Murder and Violence Against Youth Registry, as well as requesting and obtaining requests from the Department of Child and Family Services and the Do Not Hire list maintained by CPS. I am accompanied by my chief, Ronan Shabesky, as we request your approval on the authorization of the second and final 1-year renewal agreement with our fingerprinting partner, Accurate Biometrics, a 100% woman-owned enterprise, for comprehensive fingerprinting and related services. Accurate Biometrics has been a proven partner since 2001, in addition to providing fingerprint services across Illinois and processes for people to mail in if they are out of state. They were the vendor that helped us develop the managed service system, which is a customized system for CPS that houses all the background check data and automates some of our manual steps in the process. In school year 2024-25, we processed over 45,000 fingerprints across all the work streams. The breakdown is as follows: charter, 4,716, employment, 9,322, local school council, 314, pipeline programs, 2,095, post-secondary, 2,374, vendor, 19,143, and volunteer, 7,055. These include new candidates as well as refreshes that are ongoing. They have continued to prove that they can receive and process our volume of prints in a timely manner, including during our peak season, when we can receive over 300 prints a day. They are also able to come to our locations when fingerprints are required for a large group. Our average clearance rate in our peak season is 3 days. In our non-peak season is under 3 days. We are requesting your support of the renewal of the second and final 1-year contract with Accurate Biometrics, which will cost $1,930,000. Thank you for your time and attention. And I can answer any questions you may have.
My understanding is that there have been some situations, maybe very few situations, where there are individuals that are maybe mistakenly hired, even when things are in the background checks that would not allow for them to be hired at our district. Is that something that is within the responsibility of this vendor?
I think I would like to have an example because it's not the responsibility of the vendor. They process the check, they take the fingerprints for us and we process the background check, the team.
Okay, so the vendor is just more responsible for like the technology, and then we process the information that are the results of that.
Correct.
Great. And then are there any issues related to like accuracy or content? I noticed that there's no KPIs related to that, but is that not like a concern that has not come up?
We have not had any issues with the vendor. The candidates just go to their facility and they take the fingerprint. And then the fingerprint is assigned a unique identifier. And that's what we use to process the background check.
Thank you.
Member Rivas.
Thank you, Mr. President. So if it's the second and final, that means next year, then it would go back to market for
Yes.
all the other.
Yes.
Are there other, how long have we used Accurate Biometrics now?
So they've been our partner since 2001.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Board members, we will continue with the following talent office item, number 8, amend paid time off policy.
Good afternoon, board members. Good to see everybody. I'm here my name is Ben Felton. I'm the Chief Talent Officer. I'm here in place of our Executive Director of Health and Benefits, Carla Kirkling, who is out sick today, so please go easy on me. Kidding aside, if you have questions that I cannot answer, I will make sure that we get back to you in writing. But so the Talent Office is asking you to authorize an amendment to our PTO policy to make sure that we're aligned with the City of Chicago's new paid leave ordinance, introduce new sick leave carryover rules for non-union employees, extend and clarify religious holiday procedures, and update language for compliance and transparency. We're bringing forward an amendment to the paid time off policy to ensure that we are fully compliant with city's new ordinances. The key changes really fall into 3 areas. First, for our non-union employees, we've implemented new entitlements and maximum carryover rules for sick leave. Sick time will now begin accruing on the date of hire for part-time and hourly employees, and it'll be available for use within 30 days. That is per the city's new ordinance. These changes bring us into compliance, and we're already implementing those. This is just updating our policy to match that compliance. Second, we're extending and clarifying the rules around religious holidays. The notification period for requesting a religious holiday will move from 7 days to 14 days, giving us managers, mostly principals, more time for planning and coverage when an employee is out. We're also clarifying what qualifies as a religious holiday, and we're outlining the process for which a religious holiday can be asked and what the denial procedures are in case religious holidays are not being used properly. And so that is true the 7 to 14 days unless it's otherwise negotiated in our collective bargaining agreements with labor. And third, we've made some smaller changes by removing outdated or non-compliant language, including clarity and adding transparency. So this amendment was reviewed by multiple stakeholders, including the board office, equity law, finance, payroll, and the city's Office of Labor Standards. It was also posted for public comment from July 25th to August 25th. Carla came here and briefed you in advance of it going out for public comment. We received just a couple of comments and we've reviewed them carefully. Finally, I want to just emphasize the equity focus of this amendment. It ensures fair treatment of our employees, recognizes diverse religious practices, and promotes consistent and transparent policies across the district. In short, this amendment keeps us compliant with the city ordinance and enhances benefits for our non-union employees and strengthens equity and clarity in our PTO framework. So happy to try to answer any.
We'll let you off easy, sir.
All right. Thank you, President Harden.
Board members will continue with the following capital items. Numbers 9 and 10. We'll begin with number 9. Authorize the first and second final renewal agreement with various vendors for cost estimating services.
Good afternoon, Board President Harding and board members. My name is Vinuet Dai. I'm the Executive Director for Capital Planning and Construction, joined here today by Chief Hansen of Facilities. And we are recommending that the board approve at the September 2025 board meeting the first, second, and final renewal agreements for various vendors to provide cost estimating services for the district. These vendors provide cost estimating services in support of the board's capital improvement program. Specifically, they provide detailed cost estimates for various milestones of the design life cycle of our capital projects. They provide the assessment and cost estimating tables to supplement our biennial assessments to assist with long-term capital planning. And they also provide accurate cost estimates, including statistical analysis on construction trends, material price changes, environmental, labor disputes, and other influences in the marketplace. They also provide cost analysis for our capital projects, bid estimates. So when we receive our bids, we always run those by our cost estimators to identify any areas that may be requiring modifications or any increased controls. The board authority for this item is not to exceed $6 million. This is for a pool of 3 vendors. The term would be for 2 years, beginning January of 2026 and expiring December 31st of 2027. These vendors were selected via a competitive solicitation process with M&WBE goals of 30 and 7. However, the actual for this contract to date has been 21.7 for MBE. The Concord Consulting Group, which is one of the 3 groups, has been the only active vendor in the pool thus far for various reasons. The MBE participation we see is low at 21.7 because of that. And so we are working with the other 2 vendors to try to get them to accept some of the work that we have offered them. But moving forward, we anticipate more participation from those 2 vendors, which will result in an increased overall MWBE spend, as one of the vendors is an MBE vendor. Past performance in the pool has been satisfactory, and the requested authority is consistent with what we have had in the past, and to support the volume of work that we have, as well as our biennial assessments or any other special assessments that we need throughout the district. If this agreement is not approved, then we will not have an accurate data or analysis system with which to effectively and efficiently manage our projects. That is my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll continue with the next capital item, number 10, resolution to request the PBC of Chicago to transfer title of real estate for various school sites to the City of Chicago.
Good afternoon, Board President Hardin and members of the board. My name is Stephen Stoltz, Director of Real Estate for the Department of Capital and Facility Operations. We recommend the board adopt a resolution to request the Public Building Commission of Chicago to transfer title to various school and campus park sites to the City of Chicago and trust for use of schools. Excuse me. The Public Building Commission of Chicago was organized in 1956 to undertake construction projects on behalf of public bodies, including the City of Chicago, the Board of Education, and the Chicago Park District. In the late 80s and early 90s, the board undertook a capital improvement plan that entailed transferring title to a majority of the board's real estate to the Public Building Commission of Chicago for financing purposes to fund capital improvements. The deed conveying title to the PBC contained a reverter clause stating that the title to the real estate shall revert back to the city of Chicago in trust for use of schools upon repayment of the bonds. The PBC bonds have since been repaid, and we are now seeking approval to transfer title back to the city of Chicago in trust for use of schools. Per state statute, the board cannot hold title to real estate in its own name, and it must be held in trust by the local municipality. This is 105 ILCS 5/34-20. Title to all real estate held for the use and benefit of schools shall be held in the name of the city in trust for the use of schools. All conveyances of real estate shall be made to the city in trust for use of schools. After adoption by the board, this matter will be presented to the Public Building Commission for approval. This is the first reconveyance of properties held by PBC that were subject to the bond financing deal, and I will be presenting additional reconveyances at future meetings until all parcels have been transferred back to the city of Chicago in trust for use of schools. That concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Just one question. Why is it taking 7 years for the transfer to happen? What contributed to that? Is that normal process?
The bonds were repaid in 2018, so yes, it has been 7 years. This is something we started about a year ago, looking into the number of parcels, getting legal descriptions together. But it is overdue.
Understood. No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
The following slides list the standard monthly reports and motions that are listed in the Agenda Review Committee meeting agenda and posted online. This concludes the board reports for public agenda. Are there any comments or questions or any further items from the board? We'll now move into executive session. Board Member Lopez, you have motion MO2.
I move the passage of motion number 25-09-110-10-MO2 in the commencement of a closed session to consider matters permitted under Section 2C of the Open Meetings Act, subsections 1 and 11 as specified in the motion.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
I'll proceed with a roll call. Member Lozano?
Yes.
Member Smith?
Aye.
Member Lopez?
Aye.
Member Velez?
Aye.
Member Boyle?
Yes.
Member Wallace?
Aye.
Member Custer?
Aye.
Member Rosenfeld? Not here. Member Rivas?
Yes.
Member Rio Sierra?
Aye.
Member Bannon?
Aye.
Member Gutierrez?
Aye.
Member Biggs?
Yes.
Member Thodakura?
Yes.
Member Blaze?
Aye.
Member Zakor?
Yes.
Member DeBerry?
Aye.
Vice President Bautista?
Yes.
Thank you. 17 ayes, 0 nays. This motion is adopted by the board.
This meeting will now go into closed session.
Can somebody send me the closed session link, please?
The Agenda Review Committee of the Board of Education is reconvened. Board Secretary, please proceed.
President Harden, I would like to note for the record that there are no items to vote on from executive session.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second. So moved.
All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Oh.